We Make Movies Film Geeks Podcast, episode number 54. Welcome to the We Make Movies Podcast, making the world a better place, one film at a time. And now, here are your hosts, otherwise known as the director, the actress, and who the hell is that guy? Chad, Michelle, and Garrett. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another We Make Movies Film Geeks Podcast, a podcast that's all about how to get your movie made, how to get it seen by other people, and how to get it awesome. I'm your host, Garrett Robinson, independent film director, born and raised and living and working in Los Angeles. With me, as always, Chad Kukihiko, excellent director, member of the board of We Make Movies, and also with me, as always, Michelle Lucadou, member of the board, PR director of We Make Movies Filmmaking Collective in Los Angeles. Neither of which know what we're starting. Be silent, me.
I will cut it out. I will cut that out of the audio version, so you don't have to worry about that.
No, it's fine. I think you actually both silenced before it actually, because there's a ding, you're going live, and then there's a ding, you're live. But it just, I always have like mini panic attacks when I'm like, okay, we're going.
You just have like two warnings, you know what I mean? Like you have like rolling and then you have in action. So like I'm just kind of like, if I just get one warning, I don't work well with that.
Okay, cool. So I'll keep that in mind. But I gave the warning and then I'm like, okay, so everything's silent for a couple of seconds and then I hit start. The instant I click on start, it's like, oh, so this one other thing. It's fun. It's fun. Oh, Chad, knock it off.
That wasn't me. That was not me.
That was me. That was me. You guys were doing the podcast today in my bathrobe because it's Saturday morning, and I just got immunized for like every week.
Kind of, yeah.
Wearing a T-shirt though.
Yeah. No, but the color's the same.
Oh yeah. Well, no, this is my very special Little Mermaid Broadway cast robe.
Oh,
I
don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mine's the Big Island Film Festival.
My shirt is not the same color, but it says "Kiss Me, I'm loaded." So that's something.
Oh, hey, I forgot to put something in the community stuff. I'm gonna put it now.
Okay, put it now. There's nothing in the community stuff. We start as always.
The community stuff.
Yeah, we start as always with community news. This week is another event. Crap, I totally should have gotten that ready. That's my bad. What's the event this week? It would be...
It is Sketch Night.
Sketch Night, yay! We perform YouTube sketches. They are voted upon by the community, and then the top 3 winners are brought to YouTube Space LA next month in order to be shot. And made into sketches for this very YouTube channel. So if you are a subscriber already, you will see them. But you should come to the event and help us choose which sketches we are doing. So that's fun.
Yes.
And then Chad, talk about the new site. Now I just want to preface Chad's talk with I got to see it the other day, and oh my god.
Where did you see it?
I visited Sam.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No. So a website. It's actually the 4th incarnation of We Make Movies is on the way. We're still tweaking it on a sort of a staging location, and the transfer over is actually unfortunately going to take some time. Though it's a long story, but it is cool. It's a responsive site, meaning that no matter what device you watch it in, it will automatically adjust to fit that device. You can even, once it's launched, you can kind of just resize your browser and see what happens across the different devices, because it will, even if your browser is like the size of a mobile phone, it'll automatically switch to the mobile phone size. So my
friend Trisha resized her browsers. She got a lot of work after that.
That's hilarious. Good for Trish. I hope.
Fantastic.
I hope they're really well done. Totally different thing. But the one of the main things that we were trying to work on is making stuff easier to find. I know it's difficult to find stuff on the current site, so we've corrected that. We believe, as much as made a pretty huge jump with the way that the menu works, so that it's like, what are the things you want? There should be a name right at the top of that menu that's like, oh, that's what I want, and then underneath it maybe you'll find some exactly what you need. So that's pretty much what's going on. So keep your eyes out. WeMakeMovies.org. You will see it coming very soon.
And what's this interesting WMM Insider thing?
Ooh, that is a new thing that I am doing. It is interviews with all of our We Make Movies filmmakers. So a new interview will come out every Friday. We have one up right now with Brian Gaskell and Amba Khalid, who did a WMM short, The Audition, which came through our writer's workshop and was produced by one of our members. What?
They did both movies, The Speech, and I mean, she directed, right, Audition, but she did not direct The Speech. Garrett directed The Speech.
I directed The Speech, and she produced The Speech, which was which was a very we would not have had as good a film without her. She was fantastic.
By the way, it's going live. The Speech is going live on our YouTube channel this Wednesday.
Woo! So if you want to see it, I directed it, so you do, you sons of bitches. No, just kidding.
So the long and the short of it is, go to our YouTube channel, WMM Originals, and subscribe, because there's a bunch of cool stuff on there, like a bunch of cool stuff.
Hey, don't forget if you are watching this live that you can, if you're watching it on the YouTube channel, you can comment. We will see those comments. We can comment on the comments. Yes. We can even show the comments on the screen. So
you can comment on my hair today because it's looking very sexy.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Do all of those things. Let us launch into the the general news items, and I'm up first this week. We saw the first trailer for Exodus: Gods and Kings recently. It looks pretty epic. It looks like a huge, a callback to Ridley Scott, my favorite Ridley Scott of all time, which I know some people are going to hate me for, but his Gladiator, I mean, it's freaking amazing. So the movie is directed by Ridley Scott and stars white people. I mean, I wouldn't.
Well, that makes sense.
I know, right? I wouldn't have expected anything different, honestly. But yes, aside from Ben Kingsley, who is half Indian, a lot of people don't know that. Hollywood has entirely whitewashed the story of Moses and Ramses, who it must be noted, came from Egypt, which is in the Middle East, where thousands of years ago people were, yes, still brown. So I expected this kind of thing. From the movie Son of God, because I don't think America's ready for a brown Jesus, but a brown Moses, I feel like they went the wrong direction on Moses, because when Charlton Heston did Moses, he at least looked tan, and in all the iconic scenes of the film, he had the crazy, the wild facial hair that helped sell the overall look and made him less I'm totally a white dude. But Christian Bale could be nicknamed Pale Bale in this trailer, and he's got his haircut is literally shorter than mine and whiter than mine, and has a beard of the exact same style as I do, but worse. I'm fully aware of how inadequate my beard is, in case that was ever a question, compared to
gentlemen like molting season right now, isn't it?
Yeah. But anyway, I'm just I just feel like they didn't even make an effort necessarily, which is sort of I mean, at least I don't know. It's a rough thing. However, all of that said, the movie looks pretty epically badass. So people will still go watch it, and my social justice objections will probably be eclipsed by my desire to relive the glory days of Ridley Scott and Gladiator. Have you guys seen the trailer?
I have not, but I have a super quick question for you. You really think that Gladiator is Ridley Scott's best movie?
No, I said my favorite. I said my favorite.
Okay, good.
I know that objectively speaking, even though art is subjective, I know Lord of the Rings isn't the best film ever, but it's my favorite film. I will watch it at any time again. If somebody was like, dude, Lord of the Rings marathon, your house today, right now, I would be like, come over. Yes, let's do this.
No, I'm glad about that
I'm posting one of those at the end of August. So
yeah. I do that once a year.
I'm glad you recognize the distinction, and I'm very happy to hear that. And we can completely move on. That's all. Because I have listen. Everybody has their guilty favorites. You know what I mean? They're their guilty pleasures. Anyway. Yeah. As you were, Michelle.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with bands. You know, I know that there are better bands than Flogging Molly and Rise Against. And somebody's like, "Dude, you really think that Zeppelin is worse than those two bands?" I'm like, "No, it's just they're my favorite." Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
Well, I'm going to speak to my lovely lighting situation today, which is like really hot, right? This is exactly how you should shoot a film, with one tower light thing with a crunchy thing on it from IKEA in your bathrobe with a sexy shadow behind my head. I learned a lot today, but not in time to do it for this podcast. Okay, here's why I love No Film School. I'm obsessed with it. I just read an article on there about lighting your film with flashlights and magnifying glasses. Like, seriously, this is my jam, because that's what I roll. How I roll. Also, for every audition that I have to put on tape at home, I have an agent in Atlanta, so they'll call me a lot to put auditions on tape at home. I won't have to completely rearrange all the lighting in my house. So there's this guy, Joey Shanks, and he is the video. He uses cobalt work lights, which I don't know what these are, but apparently they're good. $10 on Amazon, priced them out. And then magnifying glasses to like narrow the beam, wax paper to diffuse it, like etc. All like amazing, adorable, great advice, and much cheaper than a full-out lighting kit. And also like you can use your flashlights for other shit. And flashlights don't give off heat, which is actually awesome. Anyway, it was pretty cool. It made me feel like not so much of a doofus for doing all the weird lighting crap that I've done on so many things. So check it out.
Like, I don't understand. How does he turn it into a light? Like with wire or something, or?
The flashlight?
Yeah.
Well, he uses the light from the flashlight and then like does different things with it.
Yeah, but I mean, my question is like, how does he get it? Like, let's say you set up a 3-point lighting situation, right? And so that means you'd have 3 different flashlights around you. I mean, they don't just float in space. You know what I mean?
Like
how do you
stands and rigging it up?
Stands and yes.
Oh
exactly.
yeah, he does that too. Check it out. Go look at it. It's on YouTube. It's called Flashlight Cinematography.
That would be amazing if we actually remembered to put the link in the notes. That would be amazing. I can't wait. One of these days.
Yeah. Anyway, I actually have literally put things on everything I have used.
Chad, I hear your comment and I respond with uncomfortable coughing and throat clearing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to check that out. I want to check that out.
Cinematography.
Cool. I will check it out. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into my situation, if that's okay with you. The Emmys announced their nominees on Thursday, and Netflix ended up more than doubling their 14 nominations last year to 31. Now, online-only shows have only been eligible for Emmys since 2008, but I would bet that this is the most amount of Emmys for any single online-only site in all 6 years since. Again, I didn't know exactly where to go to prove that, although it's dawning on me right now. It actually would have been a pretty quick thing to look at, but whatever. I didn't actually look, but I'm betting good money that is the case. HBO has the most nominations this year with 99. Then it goes CBS, NBC, FX, ABC, PBS, and then Netflix is 7th with their 31 nominations. But this is really interesting. Even though Game of Thrones, all by itself, has 19 nominations, which is more than half of the entire networks on the list, HBO only has an average of 3.8 nominations per show, while Netflix has more than 6 per show.
Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting. So part of why HBO, I mean, other than of course Game of Thrones, part of why HBO has so many nominations is the fact that it also has so many more shows than Netflix does. So it's really interesting. I mean, it reminds me of a conversation I had with Chuck Safter, who I don't know if he still is, but at the time he was head of development over at FX. And there was a Boston University alumni thing. I'm a Boston University alumni, so is he, although our paychecks probably differ substantially. I asked him after he spoke to everybody, point blank, I was like, what do you think? Do you think that that web is ever going to be able to compete with cable or even network, and he was like, no. He was like, I knew Hulu was just starting at the time. This was a while ago. So it was, but still, to me, the signs were already there, and, and cut to here.
Silly people. And I just want to say, what's in a paycheck anyway, aside from lots and lots of money?
Well, I think he talked about his history, like how he became head of development at FX, and it sounded like a huge part of it was studying, the way that the market was working at that time, and in a big way, like trying to kind of basically understand it. I mean, obviously FX is doing better than any other cable show. I mean, except for obviously HBO. But it's all networks. It's all big networks plus PBS, HBO, FX, and Netflix. That's it. The top 7. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so they obviously know what they're doing in terms of quality. But in terms of anyway, and I think probably if I were to ask him that today, he would his answer would obviously be different. But I think that
one would hope. I still hear people who are like, "Oh yeah, but I mean, after House of Cards and everything, it's all gonna fade away. Like these guys can't sustain that." I'm like, "What are you?" Okay.
They don't.
I would be interested to know all things exactly the same, all things considered exactly the same, except for it is on, say, ABC or Netflix, what the cost difference would be of the same exact show.
What do you mean? You mean because HBO is obviously about twice the price of Netflix, but you also have to have cable, so it's much more than twice the price when you break it down. What do you mean?
No.
Oh,
I mean, production cost?
No, like the production costs are exactly the same. Same show. You put it on, like, say, HBO versus Netflix, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's all more money that can be reappropriated to making a show better, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I mean, this is, there's something that's really, that everyone has always kind of said in sort of the tech world, that porn kind of leads the way. Porn makes all the decisions. Porn, for instance, when VHX and Betamax were fighting it out, VHS won because the porn industry decided that was what they were going to use. Same thing, I believe, with Blu-ray. That's how porn is always, and so.
Because there was Blu-ray and there was HD DVD, and we have Blu-ray because porn said Blu-ray.
Absolutely. So, and that's sort of
internet is for porn.
Well, that's also, I mean, like the internet. When I was doing Stomp, I met this whole company of like 19-year-olds in Vancouver when we were traveling, and this was 1995, and they were doing like live streaming porn. Way back then, and they were like, and that was, that of course started the standard. A lot of those companies have done that, and I think that the point is that I think that we'll probably find the next level of development in the porn industry. I don't exactly know what that will be, but if you look and see what they're doing, I have a feeling that they're clearly making money. You know what I mean? So there's money to be made. Indie filmmakers might want to take a gander at what's going on in the porn industry. I don't know.
I can tell you one thing right now is which they did. Actually, two things right now, which I've seen special presentations on, is what do you call it? Google Glass, like glass films, like that sort of thing, like all POV type projects. But the other thing that I'm more excited about is they're working really, really hard to develop 3D with no glasses. So 3D like
I
3D
don't think
films,
I want
videos.
to see 3D porn, guys.
Well, you are not their market, Michelle. I mean, no offense. I'm going to jump into the next segment because we've run a little bit long here. Comic book movies. First of all, I have two to cover, so I'm going to talk fast. First of all, there's a rumor, unsubstantiated and probably false, that Doomsday might be in the Batman vs. Superman film. And some people are like, Doomsday. And I'm like, no, guys, no. I hope he is not in the film because the franchise is for me personally, falling short. And I don't think that they have a good enough Superman franchise now to see. The reason that Avengers worked with mixing heroes together is because the individual franchises were either really good, like Iron Man, or good, enough, like
Kevin
Captain
Feige
America.
is running the whole thing. I don't think that I'm not seeing a unified thing on the DC end.
Yes, that's very true. But what was my train of thought? Yeah, no. So anyway, it's not good enough. Like, you don't, the Man of Steel anyway. So if you bring Doomsday in to a Batman versus Superman film, first of all, he's not going to kill Superman, which is like, then why bring Doomsday? Just because he's cool? The reason he's cool is because he killed Superman. That's the only reason. So anyway, that is hopefully not going to turn out to be true, because if they bring in Doomsday and he's just like a slightly more badass villain who doesn't do the only thing he was ever put in comics to do, then that's dumb. But also, on moving to the other side of the aisle, I'm getting more and more excited about Guardians of the Galaxy. This is going to be awesome. Everything from casting to character design to the fact that they're using mostly practical sets is awesome. They've actually built dozens of spaceship sets in a huge hangar out wherever they're shooting. I actually forget for the moment. But most of the characters are prosthetics and face paint. Like, obviously they have to use CGI. Like the raccoon, for example, is CGI. But they're going practical wherever they can, which is like, they're doing that. Star Wars Episode 7 is doing that. I'm like, yay! Some people know what they're doing. And the movie also seems to be trying, story-wise, to focus on every character of the team, rather than like having it be about, the white male protagonist and his team of sidekicks. In the opening scene, as an example, every backstory of every member of the team is narrated by a different member of the team. So the raccoon's backstory is narrated by the Green Girl. The Green Girl is narrated by, Slobby McSlackerson. The tree is narrated by the red guy, etc., etc. So I'm going to go ahead and say, definitely go see Guardians of the Galaxy when it came out. And I'm saying that not as a fan of the comic book franchise, because I've never freaking read it. I'm just like, oh, you're doing an awesome thing, which is cool.
Yeah, I just think that Kevin Feige, I mean, like, he runs that ship in a very, very, very smart way. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, comic book movies are the downfall of cinema, blah, blah. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, it's fun. It's funny. If you're not a comic book fan already, I think there's still stuff in it for you as well. But I think he just runs a tight ship. And I just don't think, like, the whole DC world, from everything that you hear out in the geekosphere, it's just like people running around bumping into each other. It's just like,
if what do you call it? If the Twilight franchise didn't kill the film industry, then we'll survive comic book movies. I'm sorry.
Awesome.
Well said. I concur.
Yeah. So speaking of the film industry, James Franco. I don't know if this isn't necessarily news. I know, not my favorite person either, or actor or director, but he's doing like everything now. I mean, like everything. And I just saw an article on A Film School about one of his shorts that he made in 2010. It's called Herbert White. Have you guys seen this?
No.
No.
It is the most disturbing freaking film. This is why, like, I look like this, and I didn't actually, like, dry my hair because I, like, was enraptured by this film that I started watching. It's really disturbing. And it's written and directed by James, and adapted it's from a poem by Frank Badar. I'm not familiar with the poet, but it's on Vice. But you can also find it on, like, No Film School. Really, really powerful, really, really disturbing. It's starring Michael Shannon. Just watch it. It's kind of, I don't know, I think it's kind of rare to base a short film on a poem. I don't really know a lot of short films that are based on poems, but I mean, I guess as far as I know, it makes sense. Like, the character is established and, like, not a lot happens. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's available on Vice, so go watch it and then maybe go vomit. But it's good filmmaking, and it's actually really contained, which is just nice to see a film made by someone who could spend a lot of money on it, but it's just about the story and the character, and it's just, yeah.
I think disturbing. go together. Kind of. I said I think Disturbing and Michael Shannon go together very naturally.
Yeah, him and like Steve Buscemi have like cornered the market on like guys that you
creepy
are creepy.
Guys with eyes you don't want to look into too long for fear that your soul might just go.
Yes, precisely. Anyway, it's kind of cool.
Cool. I will try to. Maybe I will. I don't know. I almost said I will definitely check that out, but I don't know if I will.
I will go ahead and say I'm not going to check that out.
Fine.
I stumbled onto this article about a new site that claims to be, and I'm not kidding, the world's largest, and this is in quotes, this is like when you go to the website, it says this, the world's largest film funding creation. That's what it says. Now, I obviously had to check it out when I saw this article. So I went, and it's indiefilmfunding.com. And what I found was so unbelievably underwhelming that I thought for a second that maybe I had been shot back in time into a world long before Kickstarter and Indiegogo and Seed and Spark even existed. It was hilarious. I checked out how many films then were also listed. I mean, it's basically a crappy Indiegogo is what this site is. And it's some dude who I guess is a recent whatever moving person. I don't know. He moved recently to Park City, Utah. And because that's the home of Sundance, I guess he suddenly feels like he has the right to just come up with a really crappy film funding product and it'll suddenly be successful.
Let's review one quick thing on here, because I have never heard of this, and I just visited live. Right at the top, like there usually is, there's IFF Picks, which is like their featured project. Maybe don't pick featured projects that are 0% funded and 0% donated.
But they have no choice. They have no choice because they only have 5 films on them. And that's it, 5 films, 4 of which have not raised a single dime. The one that has some money has raised $341. That's it. So, I mean, it's you can't, like, be all braggadocious in your banners. Anyway, when you go to the About page, it says right at the top on a photo, is this like right over the photo, it says, indie film funding changed millions of lives. I'm not kidding. I just don't understand. Like, I almost started to, when I was perusing it, I started to think maybe it was a joke. Maybe it was like an Onion thing or something, you know? But, you know, I don't think it is, because I think that there would have been something.
Are you sure it's not? Maybe some person created it.
No, it is not a joke. It's not a joke. I would have been on Jimmy Kimmel's site within, 7 clicks if it was,
yeah.
Yeah, no, this is just a really bad. I mean, it's funny because the article that I was reading, I mean, design-wise, it's actually not bad. Design-wise, it actually looks kind of decent, but it's, it had enough. It has enough design going for it. It held my interest for a while, but the specifics of it. I mean, it's a crappier Indiegogo. It's like if you hit your target, they will keep 5%. And I don't know exactly I never use Indiegogo. I always use Kickstarter, but I don't know.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe
if
that's
you hit the target. It's 5%, and if you don't, it's 9%. I think is the way it works.
Well, indie film funding is 10%. If you don't. So it's like it's just how can you build a business not knowing what market you're stepping into and then providing a crappier product to people? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I don't know how much money they've wasted. You know what I mean? Building this website, but I just don't understand.
None. They've wasted no money.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
This website is like a classic free.
You can't set up money receiving things for free. That's gonna, what I mean? You can't receive and then filter money out to people without. That takes some development. It takes some time. Sure. I mean, maybe just something that you license, somebody else's creation that you license. But I mean, it's, anyway. I think it's.
I recommend people go check it out just for the comedy. It's pretty incredible. There's some projects in there that I'm just like, wow. Let's jump into the main topics.
Sure.
So I have talked before about how creators today can find ways to monetize the same content more than once and use different types of media to feed each other. And I have started a long-term experiment with this right now. I have begun a project on my YouTube channel called Vlog-A-Novel. I forget if I've mentioned this on the show before. Does this sound familiar to you guys?
No.
Okay. I'm writing my whole next book, which I started on Thursday. I'm doing the entire thing on live streaming video. Google Hangouts exactly like this one, except it's just me, and my whole desktop is screen shared. So what people are seeing is me in the top left corner of the screen. Right below that, like a card saying, "Hi, this is Vlog-A-Novel. Don't forget to subscribe, and here's my website." And then the whole right half of the screen is my novel, which is the font is nice and big. So that you can actually see what I'm writing, and I'm writing the book from start to finish there. Like, people can read it as it's being watched if they want to.
That's hilarious. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, you said you already started this, or you're about?
And that's accountability, yo.
Yeah, I started on Thursday. Accountability is actually one of the main reasons I decided to do this, and then the viewership would be like an excellent benefit and whatever, and just generating more content. So you can actually see what I'm writing as I'm writing it, my first draft, and because it's a Hangout, you can comment live and I can answer them live. I don't pull them up on the screen for complicated reasons, but yeah, so basically people are asking me, what's that, who's this? If anybody asks a question, I basically explain what's going on in the book and the story as I'm going through it. And I started not knowing what would happen. I've only done a couple of episodes, but I'm getting as many views on the videos total as I get on my daily vlog. Now, those are not all live viewers. I'm not having 100 people tuning in to watch me type live, but the number of live viewers has been increasing as well, and more live viewers comment more, which like slows the writing down somewhat. But I'm still doing more than 2,000 words an hour. And the way that I'm seeing it, the way that I see it, or the way that I'm talking to people about it, is it's like DVD extras for a book. People who read the book and have watched the whole process, or who read the book and then go watch the whole process, know so much more. Because I'm like saying things about the characters and the story and why I'm doing certain things certain ways that will not make it into the book. They're not explicitly spelled out. And if people like comment, then I respond to them and I say their name and whatever, and it's like little shout outs. So, and I'm going to include them in the book's acknowledgments. So it's like creating more true fans. But the thing that made me decide to do this for sure is that I'm going to be spending that writing time anyways. Like, I'm going to be doing that. So why not just turn it into more content? All you do is turn the camera on, and boom, video content, more YouTube views, new subscribers, and people are getting interested in that book and hopefully other books as well. And then at the end of the book, there can be a little, call to action saying, hey, did you like this book? Would you be interested in seeing more about how, like, the whole process, how it was created, how I wrote it, and all the thought that went into it? Go to the YouTube channel with a link, like, here it is, and there will be a playlist that is specifically the creation of the book. And I'm actually going to probably head the playlist with an edited highlight reel, or like, these are all of like the most important moments when I was going through the book, or when like I gave a talk about this character or whatever. And like, is there a better way to present it? Yes, I'm sure there is. Right now it's just me writing for an hour solid and answering questions periodically, but there's long sections of time where it's just words appearing on the thing and just me kind of sitting there typing. But I'm sure I'll figure out ways to make that more interesting, engage with people more. But it's like when Peter Jackson was doing The Hobbit. He could have just filmed the films and released occasional press releases, and it would have been totally fine, right? I still would have seen it, I still would have whatever. But he made those. You guys remember those behind the scenes vlogs that were happening? Yeah. That was freaking awesome. It was like 10 minutes, and it was every couple of weeks or every 3 weeks or whatever. And we got to see all of this stuff behind the scenes that you just wouldn't be able to experience any other way, even on the DVD extras. Like, that was way more content than we are going to get on the extended editions. So even after the first movie, which, as I've said on the show, like I didn't like as much as the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but even after that, the vlog still got me super excited about the new ones and made me want to go back to New Zealand, but linoleum makes me want to go back to New Zealand. So we are all content creators to some degree, and there are easy ways to turn what we're doing into more than one type of content. And whoever thinks up, you know, the next big one is going to benefit from it the most, because by inventing it, you are essentially also an early adopter. So, so my suggestion is just to experiment, try to think up things that are cool and engaging and that people will want to consume. And I almost forgot to write this in my segment. I made the book available for pre-order, even though it's literally less than 2 chapters right now, and I don't have a cover or anything. And 2 people who have been watching have already pre-ordered. So it's like, why not do this thing? It's cool. It's a cool thing. So there you go. That's my experiment for the day.
Do you outline your stuff?
Okay, normally I do, and actually that's another funny thing about this. I was going to do this one novel called Vagrant, which I'm still going to do, but that was going to be my vlog a novel idea. And then on Thursday I was driving home, and I had this other idea for a book. And Vagrant, I was going to do the whole thing. I was going to outline it. I was going to go through the whole process and everything. Like I usually actually start doing cover design before I'm done with my outline, because I like working with the cover in mind. But on Thursday, this is the first time this has ever happened to me. This whole story, this whole book sprang into my mind all at once. And
you were on the in the show?
No. While I was on in the car. Like I hadn't begun vlog a novel yet, and I went home and I said, "Sweetie, don't I'm gonna go work for an hour. Don't burst into the room because I'm gonna be broadcasting." And I walked in and I sat down and I opened up the Hangout and I was like, "Hi guys, we're starting vlog a novel right now," and I just started writing the first draft, and it's going swimmingly. It won't always, because I normally need to outline very badly.
Yeah, like
I mean, but that's actually a really good idea, though, because if you don't have an outline, like that is, I mean, it's kind of like choose your own adventure for the viewers, right? I mean, wouldn't it be fun to write a novel and let the viewers decide?
No.
Characters?
I could see some people doing that. That is not what I'm going to do.
But why not? But that's something I would watch. I would get on there and I would be like, all right, I want this person to go this way, and then
then space monkeys burst through the ceiling.
Yes.
Well, that was sort of the thought behind my Last Days Journal, the website that I first created. It was the world's first social network for survivors of the zombie apocalypse, and I posted it back, and I started it back in 2007. But that was basically the thing, was that I was creating a fake world, a world that had already been crushed by zombie apocalypse. By the way, can you hear this party apparently is starting? No? All right, good.
No.
This party apparently is starting here. So I'm like, oh, goodness, we better. Anyway, that was the whole idea. And it was, what was crazy about it is you'd had people all over. I had a couple of like college newspapers pick it up. And so some, and then I had a bunch of people in Australia discover it. So there was a brief period of time in early 2008 where it actually kind of blew up. And there were, hundreds and hundreds of people on the website every day basically creating these different stories and occasionally trying to kill each other. And that's where it all went south, is that there were this was kind of like a game. This is, obviously what you're doing is a completely different process, and it's not, like, you're not taking suggestions, right?
No, not at all, yeah.
Right.
I don't really work that way.
Right.
Numerous people have suggested that, and I'm like, no, sorry.
Yeah. But that would be interesting if there was something like that. Take that.
Yeah, I like that idea better, Garrett.
Well, cool. Go ahead and start writing your book, man. Do it.
Yeah, right. I've already started writing my book, but it is not definitely up for So speaking of which, is a great segue into crowdfunding, right? Crowdfunding zombie apocalypse. Yes. I want to talk about crowdfunding. I don't know, I'm new to this indie filmmaking world fairly. Like, I've been doing this about a year, not even. So I did a little research on all of these different crowdfunding joints, right? And I know everybody talks about Kickstarter, and there's Indiegogo, and there's, whatever Seed and whatever that is, and there are tons. There we go. There are tons out there. I understand that, like, respected name like Kickstarter, people understand that, and then they trust that their money is going to somewhere that is going to, happen. And but I started a little research, and Forbes magazine has a list of the top 10 crowdfunding sites. And number 1 is Kickstarter, number 2 is Indiegogo. But then after that, there's a bunch of these like Crowdfunder, Rocket Hub, CrowdRise, SomoLend. I don't even know what that is. I think it's more for small businesses. AppBacker, AngelList, Invested In, and Quirky.
Interesting.
And so here's my question. I mean, like, is Kickstarter kind of over? Like, what are the best crowdfunding sites, ways to fund a film? Because I know Kickstarter, there's always the danger that you don't reach your amount that you have said you wanted to reach, and then it just doesn't happen, which is why a lot of people do Indiegogo and that kind of thing, or like vastly underbid themselves and then end up not really making a film that's good anyway because they were afraid they wouldn't make as much money as they needed.
I mean, I don't see that as a bug, though, honestly. I see that as the feature. That's why I've been using it so much, is because you light that fire, and then in the last couple days, you're like, guys, if we don't make our target, we're not going to do it. Okay.
Right.
We're going to have to shut this down. You know what I'm saying? And that's actually part of why, hey, what's up, kid? That's part of why, if you're just listening to this, Garrett's, I guess, little boy popped up. I couldn't tell if that was the daughter or such a tiny thumbnail. Anyway, it actually, like, a lot of the money on Kickstarter successful campaigns is made in the last like 72 hours. So and a lot of Indiegogo campaigns, they get their money, but they get a fraction of it, and they won't. And so they're in an even worse situation, because what happens to the people that gave? There's the 25% of the people and there's no way that they're going to make their thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure, but how many people? I mean, what do you think the percentage of successful Kickstarter campaigns is? I mean, is it more than 50%? Is it more than 70%? 20%? Like, what is the efficiency of Kickstarter? And I mean, like, let's also say that crowdfunding is not necessarily the only way to fund a film. So crowdfunding can be a way to supplement private investors on a film. Mm-hmm. So say you are, doing your Kickstarter and you receive your money, that potentially could be in addition to something else. Or Indiegogo, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean that the film's not going to happen. I don't know, but I mean, there are just so many other sites out there, and I wonder if if another one of these is going to pop up as the next Kickstarter.
Yeah, I have given to, I'm trying to count right here, 63 projects on Kickstarter.
Wow.
Wow.
Most of them have been successful. The vast majority of them have been successful. I have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of that 63. So 10% did not make their money. A couple of them actually quit or canceled for different reasons. And, because they realized the product wasn't actually going to be available, stuff like that. Like, some of them have quit. But the vast majority of the 63, I guess it's 54 projects, funded, were fine, and a lot of them I've been getting the stuff. I know that some of them you don't get the stuff, and that's a bummer. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not entirely certain what your question is, I guess.
Oh, no, I just wanted to discuss. I mean, I know there are a ton of different crowdfunding sites out there, and I mean, I know each one is specific to the project. So I guess the question is, what type of project is going to be best suited for a Kickstarter / Indiegogo / Seed and Spark, etc.?
Well, I know I know I had to dive out because my son burst into the room. Anybody who was watching down there got to see his little cameo. But and I'm not sure if you already talked about this, but did you already talk about basically the idea that Kickstarter, it's like YouTube. Like, you can go to Vimeo and you can go anywhere else you want. But if you're producing free online web content for people to consume so that you get views and attention and build an audience, you can go anywhere you want to, but YouTube is the best. Like Kickstarter, nobody else has an ecosystem like Kickstarter where if you're successful, they will help promote you.
Yeah. Right.
Which is kind of the big deal for me. Like other people,
and that's a relatively new thing, but it's really cool. It's cool to see.
And you can go. I mean, you can go anywhere you want. You know, these other places. I think I think that the fact that if you don't make the target, you don't get any money, and lends it an air of legitimacy. And this is just me. I don't know if people feel this way in general, but if somebody wants to fund an indie film for $50,000 and they start an Indiegogo campaign and they only make $10,000, I'm like, so if I contributed to that, I'm like, well, what are you going to do with my $10,000? Because if with my money that I gave you and your $10,000, because if you needed 50 to make the film, I don't think you can make it with 10. But now I've given you my money. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, no, I concur.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So that said,
the only other model that I want to mention is the Patreon model, which
Yes.
I don't know. Have we talked about that already?
No.
No, but there's also there's such a myriad that we could spend a lot of time on that, because GoFundMe, for instance, just like, you know, it's a completely different thing. It's all about giving, and it's not about getting anything in return, because it's, you know, somebody's dying of cancer and needs blah blah blah, or somebody's dog needs a new leg, you know, stuff like that. So, but I just feel like if we open up that can of worms, it's gonna keep going. So if that's okay, I'd like to jump into mine, if that's all right with you.
Yeah. Let's wrap up.
IndieWire posted a quote-unquote guest article a couple days ago, and I thought it was pretty interesting because it was by a couple of people who work either for or with a company called Creative Future, all one word, Creative Future, but two caps, C&F, an anti-piracy organization funded by, the film and television industry and labor unions. And while I definitely want to make it absolutely clear that I am not pro-piracy, I mean, it's just theft after all, and I tell everybody I see who does it that I think that about it. But despite that fact, we have to recognize that it's not the problem for indie filmmakers that it is for big film and TV. It's not. And though I have tons of friends in that world and I care about what happens to them, I still think it's a massive waste of time and energy for indie filmmakers to really do anything about it. I mean, honestly, anything about it, because there are actual situations. And again, I just want to make it absolutely clear that I am not condoning piracy. But if you get pirated as an indie filmmaker, it has the exact opposite. I mean, you should honestly be so lucky. You know what I mean? I mean, I know that people in big film and TV are trying to, which by the way I've never heard before, but I've decided that I'm coining that now. Big film and TV. They're trying to maximize their profits to cover their massive overhead. Indie filmmakers are by and large just trying to build an audience, and we need to get our signal out through the unbelievable noise that's out there. And I hate to say it, but sometimes pirates can help break you through. They can, and again, I'm not condoning it. I think that it's basically complete moral decay for it to build. I think it should be going down. And I'm not saying I've never done it. If I can't find a song or something that I need for something, I will but I'm not gonna. If I can pay for it, I will always pay for it. HBO, I will always pay for you, HBO. except getting a friggin' cable TV. You know. Anyway, you don't have to work super hard to shut it down when you're an independent filmmaker, because you're going to be kind of shooting yourself in the foot. And I know it sounds a little bit insane, but the factors between big film and TV versus indie film and TV are so at odds that they're basically different industries entirely. And I think that it's if you have any sort of moral standing, yes, you should be trying to crush piracy from a sort of friend-to-friend basis. But if it's happening to you, think about it like this: YouTube gathers ad revenues for free, and for your free content, you put it out there, and if you own the actual rights to what you're putting up there, you're going to get a cut of those ad revenues. And that's a working model that is gathering up millions upon millions upon millions of dollars each year. Probably I would venture to say billions at this point. and if it's not quite there yet, it's seconds away.
Yeah.
And so I think that what was kind of hilarious to me was that this article was posted on IndieWire. Like, these guys are like, "Hey guys, get behind us," but it's like, no, I'm not getting behind. You know what I mean? It just felt so disingenuous, because it's like they're trying to get us to help them, but we're not in the same industry. I mean, not really. Our industries are so different that it's, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of silly.
I know two self-published authors who hit the New York Times bestseller list through a piracy campaign, a piracy publicity campaign, where they specifically uploaded their novel to piracy sites and did a campaign around making it go viral on the piracy sites, and then as a result sold so many copies that they hit the New York Times bestseller list. And then I feel like...
Have there been analyses of those? Like, have there been articles written on any of those?
Maybe.
Because I would love to see them.
I'll remind me afterwards. I'll try and get you the names. Two of them. One of them has been featured on the Self-Publishing Podcast. And then I feel like indie filmmakers have the same attitude toward their products that many indie authors have, except even more so, which is that the number one thing when I'm not consulting, what do I want to say? Advising. When I'm advising other people who want to get into it, the number one thing that they have to get over is the idea of giving books away for free. I have two books that are permanently free, and it's like, but you put so much time and effort, you crafted them, you edited, and I'm like, yeah, I did. And there's a sequel. So if thousands and thousands of people get it for free and read it, and a percentage of those want to get it, then I'm going to get more money than people who have to pay up front. And not that this is analogous necessarily. A closer analogy would be like free YouTube videos that include a link to go buy your film. But yeah, if you are putting all of the hopes for your entire career and your entire lifestyle and your ability to survive and pay the rent on one film, and you put that film out and it's getting pirated, yes, you're going to panic and freak out. But if you have a career in mind, if you want to be known for more than that one film you did back in the aughts, then put your film out. And if people are pirating it, then go, well, at least they'll remember my name when I put the next one out. Like, that should always be your attitude, rather than, like, kill the pirates,
Yeah. Well, Chris Anderson, the guy who wrote The Long Tail, which, in my opinion, and I've not been shy about saying that I think it's the most important book that's been written in the past several decades. He also wrote a book called Free shortly after that. Actually, it came out in 2010, and it's Free: How Today's Smartest Businesses Profit by Giving Something for Nothing. And when you read the book, they're not giving something for nothing. They're doing exactly that. They're basically, I can't remember. I've checked out. Kendall got the book, so I checked out just like snippets of it here and there. And I can't remember if we actually said this or if it was just something that Kendall was saying or I was thinking or whatever. But that it's basically like the drug dealer.
It's a drug dealer model. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly. Give them a little bit.
All right.
You get the first couple for free, and then you're like hooked. That is the thing. That is one of the best ways to build an audience. And in this day and age, when the value of the human eyeball is so freaking high, and it just seems to be getting higher and higher and higher. Mm-hmm. You need to collect those eyeballs any way you can.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much of an exaggeration to say that the people who will be successful in the near future, potentially the medium future, and who really knows on the long future, but will be the people who are giving away the best free content. So in other words, it's not good enough to just have a free book out there if the book sucks balls, because then people are like, well, I definitely don't want the second one. But building like a graduated, this is a little bit of a rabbit hole, but you can build a graduated scale where the first book in my series is free, and then the second book is not, like you can't just go to Amazon and download it, but I have a deal where at the back of the first book it says, "Do you want the second book for free as well?" And they go, "Huh?" And I say, "Leave a review on this one and email it to me, and I'll give you the second one for free." And I have, since I did that, like when I started that, the first book had like 25 reviews, and now it's got almost 150. Just like people just come in and devour them.
Wow.
And then on the third one, it's like, yeah, you're going to have to pay $1 for the third one. And people are like, oh, well, 99 cents. By that point, they're invested. They have contributed. It's building a contribution.
Well, and the intelligent consumer takes that dollar and divides it by the 3 books that they've already gotten and gone, well, 33 cents per book. That's awesome. You know
or even better, they're hooked. You know what I mean? They're like, come on, give it to me, man. I'll pay $5.
Garrett's books are like crack.
Yes.
I mean, they can be. I mean, that's the thing is you get invested in these characters' lives. I mean, I'm not even kidding. When Blockbuster still existed, and Kendall and I got into, what do you call it? Damn it, the Battlestar Galactica. We got into Battlestar Galactica. And we couldn't wait. We were getting them by Netflix, and we were at like, I think it was the 3rd or 4th season. We started traveling all over Hollywood like junkies, like going from Blockbuster to Blockbuster, trying to get the friggin' DVDs. Come on, man, just give it to us. You know, that's how you get. Like when you get invested, and that's great. That's how when you're a good writer, when you're a good filmmaker, that's what you're doing is you're getting people really invested in the lives of your characters.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, we should start moving towards the end of the show, so we'll jump into things to know. My thing to know is I want to recommend a YouTube channel I've just discovered called Emergency Awesome. It is a guy who talks about only the nerdiest TV and film projects. He goes into all the geeky backstory from the comics and the books that the source material comes from. For example, he has a weekly segment on Game of Thrones that goes year-round. While the show is happening, he talks about the episode that happened that week and some backstory about one of the characters or something that's mentioned in passing but that they can't cover. When the show is not running, he talks about the expanded backstory of Westeros as established by George R.R. Martin, and he's told stories that I am like, dude, write this book. Like, oh my God, holy crap. Some of it sounds like really, really epic. Awesome. Like, Chad, you probably know, like the Blackfire Rebellions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he just talks about that.
Oh, from the books. He's not getting the poop from George R.R. Martin.
Right. No, it's from all of the expanded backstory that's been written.
Right there.
He has a Walking Dead segment. He just did a feature on Guardians of the Galaxy, which was actually the inspiration for me to talk about it on the show. So very cool channel. He's a very cool guy. He's super geeky. I'm just like, oh, kindred spirit, come here, give me a hug. And he gives away free geeky stuff. Like, for example, if you are a subscriber and you comment on the Game of Thrones videos, then you are entered in a drawing to win like a free special edition Game of Thrones book. So again, it's Emergency Awesome on YouTube. It's pretty fantastic.
Cool.
Love it. I am going to recommend a new show that comes out on VH1 on Thursday, July 17th at 9 p.m. called Dating Naked.
Okay.
My friend Amy Paffrath is the host of it, and I've seen her posts. She shot it down in Panama, and I've seen her posts about it, and she's like talked about it a little bit. It's gonna be hilarious and ridiculous, and literally they bring people into the jungle naked. They're like, here you go on a date, and then they go like diving naked, and then they go have lunch naked on the beach, and it is like ridiculous.
Wow.
You know me, I'm a horror for trashy TV.
This isn't the same girl that got the resized browsers, is it?
No.
No.
Oh,
different girl. Just curious.
No, Amy Paffrath is actually like one of the coolest gals and a brilliant host. She was the host of the Jersey Shore reunion, and she is on Bite Size TV. But yeah, anyway, it looks really awesome. I love trashy reality TV. It gives me such joy, and I just want
to point out the 2 sentences that just occurred. She's a really brilliant host. She hosted the Jersey Shore reunion.
Right, exactly. That's
mixed messages. Mixed messages.
Not at all. Here's the thing: handling those crazy mofo's and keeping their shit down to televised stuff is pretty good. It's kind of like herding cats, which I'm pretty impressed with.
And yet I find fault in what you just said. Televised stuff.
Okay. Fine.
Anyway,
we should move on.
Yes. One super quick thing before I get into my things to know, because I decided I was going to buy free on my Kindle in the other window here. And guess what Amazon sent me? They were like, sent me to a page. I've never seen it before. Did you know Prime membership includes Prime Instant Video? Stream over 40,000, they have to sell to the people who already bought it. That's how bad their user interface is. Anyway, that's a little side note.
Amazon, we love you very much. Please fix
your user interface, you awful interface people. Okay, so go to Laura Menino's show tonight at Oh My Ribs on Santa Monica Boulevard in Hollywood. It's free, 8 p.m., and I will be there. I will be shooting it. Also, go to Gary Imhoff's open classes. He has one today. I can't remember what time it starts, but it's out at Whitmore Lindley Theater. It's free. He only has these open classes about 3-4 times a year. He also has one Monday night, so he'll have them Saturday and Monday or Wednesday whenever he does it. Like I said, every 3 to 4 times a year. So go, they're free. He only has, there's also food and stuff afterwards. Oh, and yes, I also forgot to mention Laura Menino's show. No, I did mention that. It's also free. Don't forget. Oh My Ribs, Hollywood tonight, 8 p.m. And then the last thing, Aubrey Mosino has a short film coming out called Post Winter. I'm going to try to remember to put the link to the trailer. They have a trailer for it, so check it out. And there you have it.
That's last thing I want to actually mention, which I forgot and should have totally mentioned, is if you are not already experiencing it on this channel, you gotta watch Broad Strokes. They're some of my favorite things that are coming out. Yeah, so there you go. That's on this channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Daniel Darragon chimed in and said, "Books are like crack." Best quote. And that is an excellent comment for us to end the show on. So with that, I would call an end to this episode of the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. Thank you for the live viewers who tuned in. Thank you, Daniel, for your live comments. Other people, feel free to tune in with live comments in the future. We will answer them on the air. I'm Garrett Robinson. You can find me at GarrettBRobinson.com. Chad is at superfreako.com. And Michelle's on Twitter at mlucadoo. See you next week. Bye.